It turns out that one of my solution consultants went out partying, got all wrapped up, and came in drunk.
Real quick, the only reason this podcast grows is because of you. When you hit that follow button or you leave us a review, it means the world to me. I did a cost analysis. Each episode, in terms of resources, costs somewhere around $2,500 and upward. We give a lot of this professional development away for free, but what makes the world to me is when you leave a review or you give us 5 stars or just give us feedback so we know how to grow. I will do everything in my power to make sure that the Manager's Mic podcast is exceptional and serves your professional development. Take care, and back to the show. I have with me today Daren Fields, public speaker and RevOps officer, AI solutions consultant. I'm really excited to talk to you because AI obviously is a hot topic, and the creator of the Apex 8 methodology, which we're going to talk more about, which is an 8-step system for revenue generation, which you're the author of, the 8 steps via the art of persuasion and technical world. He equips professionals to navigate complex buyer journeys, harness AI for strategic advantage, and elevate performance at every stage of the deal. He's a master sales trainer recognized for redefining selling in an AI era. He is also a certified prompt engineer with elite training from Great Learning and Amazon Web Services, combining 3 decades of high-stakes technical sales leadership with advanced expertise in AI strategy, prompt design, and model optimization. Thank you so much, Daren, for joining the Manager's Mic podcast.
That sounds really good. I got to meet this guy.
I always like to give people context. Did you want to speak a little bit more to how you came to where you're at and what drove you into this stage you're at where you're really using this book, helping sales managers? Let's dive right into a little more of how you got here, and then we'll go a little further and riff off that conversation if that's fair.
Really what happened, how I arrived here and writing the book and all of that is that when AI arrived on the scene, I had a couple of really good customers, really, and clients that said, Daren, have you gotten into AI? Have you embraced it? Have you gotten it? This was going on 3 years now. And, at the time I was, yeah, I know a little bit about it because I did, Paul. I knew about machine learning and things that people might call AI, but no, have you gotten into the deep stuff? And it took a little bit of time, but once I really started playing with it, I took to it like a duck to water. And the reality of it is once I saw behind the curtain, I knew that I was never going to sell the same. I knew I was never going to do anything the same. I wasn't going to do my demos the same. I wasn't going to do my research the same. I wasn't going to do anything the same. And so I really started learning how to bottle the genie, get that genie. There's a euphoric moment for people with AI. There's a euphoric moment where, I can do anything. And I know why they get that feeling. But the reality of it is it's just a whole tech that has to be harnessed. And so I wrote the book. And the cool thing about the book and the thing that I enjoyed is that I've always been a big fan of the learning ladder, unconscious incompetence all the way up to unconscious competence. But one of the big things that I learned in my career was conscious competence and unconscious competence and how you move back and forth all the time. I have motorsports background. I grew up racing 2 wheels. I've raced 4 wheels. I've done circle. I've done track. I've done straight line. And I love it. It's what I do. But when you grow up with that, you're always looking at how to be better at something. But what I didn't realize for a long time is that goes back to conscious competence. How do I squeeze out 1/10 of a second a lap or 2/10 of a second a lap? How do I do that? And a lot of times you hear athletes get in the zone. So in motorsports, we would get in the zone. There's times I can tell you that when I win and when I would be on the podium, I wasn't thinking, Paul. I wasn't thinking at all. I was not consciously thinking. I was in the zone, and all of my training would kick in the moment of competition. But what you had to learn is that when you get to practice, don't treat it the same way. Go into the conscious competence mind and figure out what you're going to change, what works, what doesn't work, what makes you great. When you fast forward to me being in sales and being in big league sales and making $500,000 a year in commissions and all these things,
Oh, wow.
the conscious competence really, really, really kicked in. This is the secret. So I wrote the book. I'm trying to give salespeople and sales managers and sales leaders what you need to be conscious about to be successful in this AI era.
What I'm seeing, Darren, is so many sales managers and companies. There's a lot of, in my opinion, and you can challenge me. I invite you to challenge me, coach me on when I'm wrong, and I just want to get better if that's fair.
Me too.
I see a lot of sales managers still putting roadblocks up around AI. You remember when Samsung had some IP or technological IP? I think this was a year or two ago. Do you recall this event or not? Where they had some IP stolen because of AI. And what I'm trying to kind of peel the onion around is really trying to figure out why we don't need to be afraid of it. Maybe we can start there. Two, where are some baby steps that maybe a new sales manager could start dipping their toe in the water around AI? I see now like Copilot is more approved in companies for certain key reasons.
Good
Anything there
point.
that you want to challenge or push back on and be like, it's okay to be afraid. Actually, we need to be concerned for these reasons. But if we don't leverage it, here's what we're missing out on. Maybe you have a case study we could speak to if that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack, but let's start with the one good question, the one real good question for sales managers is, should I let my team use this stuff? Am I going to lose IP? The reality of it is that it just depends. If you are going into one particular AI tool that you haven't checked out from a security standpoint, then yes, shame on you. That's on you. But I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater because there's lots of good systems out there that are pretty drum tight. One that comes to mind is the guys that trained me. Yes, I'm a little biased, but when they trained me, I was in AWS's Bedrock and I was with Claude. I
Hmm.
got to beat Claude up both inside, outside, all around, and up and down. And there's, without dragging you guys through it, the way that Claude is structured, it's very secure. It's very secure. I would recommend to a sales manager that wants to get into AI and is tired of waiting on somebody to do something, you should talk to the big houses. ChatGPT is a strong security platform. You just got a lot of people who don't know the ins and outs of the system. Google's good. Yeah, I will say that maybe there's some indications that they might have a little more leakage, but I will
Right.
say this about the big ones. They're all pretty tight. They know this is
Hmm.
extremely important. So let's not just say that you can't do it at all because everything you say goes out to the world. Reality of it here is you can do private LLMs, you can do private accounts, you can do hosted, cloud hosted AI, you can even do on prem. All I would encourage anybody in the leadership role, executives, so on and so forth, that can see their competition starting to make the moves, don't know how they're moving, then you gotta jump in the water and start swimming with the sharks because the sooner you learn how to manage through the fear, uncertainty, and doubt of AI, the sooner you're going to be able to do what AI promises. Acceleration, collaboration, deep research, automation, etc. It's all there. But if you're hanging back thinking that everything you say goes in there is going to go out to the world, careful. But if you don't also just come into it and go, well, go ahead and put anything you want in there, guys, careful. But I would say this, and this is a reality. If I am a salesperson using Google 3 years ago, if I was using Google and I was on a pursuit for a sales manager who told me to go after something, Samsung, whoever, and I start doing research on my client and I start putting things in there and I start having things done. Hey, can you spell check this? Or any of those things that we use technology for. Isn't it getting to the IP anyway? Isn't
That's
it
a good point.
seeing something? Don't these user agreements already have the ability to take that data? So be careful here, everybody. You might be trying to bet against something that you already are exposed to. Because if you do drop things into email, if you do drop things onto your phone, if you then so we're not going to use any of those things. So we got to be a little bit careful. So I'm just going to say, take a tempered approach. One of the things that I recommend to salespeople is get with your technical team and say, I
Hmm.
want this tool, vet it. Let's break it down. And whoever has the higher percentages, leakage of 94% or leakage of 97% or leakage of
Right.
99%. Well, then you start to really think about that and you start to work with your vendors and you say, I want your AI because I think it's the most secure. What else can you tell me about it, and how can we tighten this up? That's all you gotta do. And so, to me, it becomes just another implementation. Why would you treat this any differently?
I am curious, based on your explanation, the one thing that stood out was Claude in a lot of what you're saying. I know ChatGPT broke, I don't know if you, that 43% of it stemmed from Reddit, and I think that kind of its branding a little bit. I don't think it's going to last long, personally. But you seem to kind of favor Claude in your response. And what I'm trying to really go a little deeper in is it that you like Claude for certain key reasons over other chat GPTs, or is that you use Claude differently over other GPT systems to help improve sales process and systems?
It's a great question, and I don't wanna mislead the audience at all. I'm not endorsing anybody. I don't get paid by anybody, but I have worked intimately with the AWS people when I was with Infor and other software companies as a former software executive. There's a natural familiarity there, and I also went through prompt engineering school with AWS, which is a brilliant process of theirs is to help fund some of my education. But that's not the reason why I like Claude. The reason why I like Claude is because when you're in Claude, if you ask particular questions about other conversations in Claude, it doesn't see them. Now, what that tells you is it's not the wide open West. Even when you have your own Claude account and you ask it to look at other conversations, let's say you did a full deep dive research on the New York Stock Exchange or something like that, and you had all that
Right.
in a chain of thought or a conversation, and then a month later you come back and you even if you're in the same project, even if you go to a whole brand new conversation and you talk about penny stocks or something like that, and
Hmm.
you say, "Hey, remember when we were doing the New York Stock Exchange? Did Can you go back over there and tell me what I said?" Can't. Now you could. There's a switch that they put in there, but it's a classic case where you have to tell it. You have to open it up, and that tells you right there. Open it up. We've been around a long time, so open it up is a little scary for your CTO of the company you work for. So when you keep it tight, when you keep it sticking to a subject and you don't let it wander, it's training, it's RAG, all of its system, it's just in that box. That statistically, even logically, is going to tell you it's just a little bit safer. It's the way that it's architected. It's the way that it's engineered. And then Google is engineered a different way. And OpenAI is engineered a different way, and so on and so forth. Copilot is engineered a different way. And you said it, Copilot doesn't go as deep, doesn't go as broad, doesn't go as wide on the research, but that's because it's kept in its swim lane. That means less leakage. So you have a trade off here. And in all fairness to Google and others, it's like what makes them great researchers may make them not your number one choice for putting in your world trade secrets. But if you're a salesperson and you go to Google and you ask Google a question, because it has access to so much
Right.
data, because they're the masters of data, the
Yeah.
answers I get on a research profile build out on a target or a prospect is way better on a Google than it is on Claude. Now, flip that around. If I wanted to talk to my engineers about some private information on my clients that I did research on Google, I got to pivot to Claude, and I would probably trust Claude just a little bit more and just say, Claude, this is the project we're working on. I got to make sure all my settings are right, but I trust you with this. Take a look at this and tell me how we might come up with a solution for this particular schematic from my client. When you start to see the swivel, it's no different than when you change your tones in a coffee shop or in a boardroom. I always say, when you're dealing with AI, think of yourself as in a coffee shop. If you wouldn't say it out loud in a coffee shop, don't put it on your uncompany approved platform. But
Fair enough.
use the other ones as you need them. Use the IP stuff for the IP stuff. And let's have a plan, sales managers. And let's have an agreement because your salespeople are going to do dark AI on you if you don't. And you won't have any idea about it. And when your executive comes down the line and says, hey, Bill's doing really, really good. Paul's doing awesome. And Daren's killing it. Well, I don't know. I just think I think it's because of me. I'm a good manager. Oh, is that what it is? I don't think so. What I think so is that in this day and age, they're using something that's giving them an edge. They also have a lot of talent and they also have a good product. All three of those are firing. If you're a sales leader and you can't pluck out that, well, he's doing deep research, he's doing these fantastic prototyping things that Daren teaches in Apex 8. If you're a sales manager, you don't know that, and you can't tell it to your boss. Guess what? All of this dark AI stuff just continues to haunt you because you don't know. You don't know what's happening to your sales team.
For context, what does dark AI mean for the person who doesn't know? Because that's a term that I'm actually not familiar with. And then I have a couple other questions I'm curious about since you're approved, certified as a prompt engineer. What's dark AI? And then I want to ask you some other questions about the prompt engineering journey, if that's fair.
Dark AI. We used to talk about dark tech, dark IP. So we used to talk about the fact that we, especially in the enterprise space, but it applies to all the SMB as well. You find your people using ChatGPT, but the company isn't paying for it. The
Hmm.
individual's paying for it. And so they've gone rogue on you. It's bring your own AI. It's like bring your own phone. We've dealt with this before with technology. Oh, they're using their phone. They're talking about sensitive information on their phone. I don't know who's hearing them. Sound familiar? All AI is doing is listening just like somebody in a coffee shop. When we talk about dark AI, we're really only just talking about BY your own AI, and that means you're unofficially using AI inside the company's four walls. That's what dark AI is.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
I just want,
you're not authorized to be there, and some people will fire and get rid of it. The other thing that they do now is they'll just shut everything down. They'll block all of those URLs. You're not allowed to go this one, ChatGPT. You're
right.
not allowed to go here. Well, then they just do it on their phone. Look, humans will find a way to get to what's valuable, period. And so when
Yep.
you get into that push me, pull you situation where you're arguing with your people, you're stifling them, and you're holding them back. If you have your race car and this is your team and your competition has their race car and that team, and they get to use AI in an organized, structured, great leadership management style. And this one is the can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. This guy's going to win all the freaking time. You know, and I know. I don't even need to show you any stats. You know, and I know that car's going to win all the time. You got to beat this guy. He just is. So that's dark AI. That's what dark AI is.
I didn't heard that definition, so I was curious. When you were going through your journey, a couple things I'm curious about for those who maybe want to embrace it more, because I feel I need to embrace it more. I use it as an amateur. I consider you more of an expert. How long would you say, since you said you come from a car background, did you were like a mechanic, or was there more there? Out of curiosity.
Great question. So I was a racer, rider, driver,
Oh,
winner, but I did do time. I did pay my way through racing by being a pitman, mechanic, working for master mechanic. So I have a mechanical background. I was better behind the wheel than under the hood, as we say, but I could do
okay.
both. So I'm a bit of a unicorn there.
Tell me about a race you won, if I may, just because I'm just
Sure.
genuinely curious. I like to humanize these podcasts at times.
Sure. So when first of all, winning is something that it's an amazing feeling, especially in motorsport, because you work so hard for so many years to get there. And even when you get second place, it's cool. You get on the podium, you get a trophy, you get the kiss from the girl or the guy, but whatever. The bottom line is that you celebrate, but there's nothing like a win. And
Yeah.
when you get a win, whatever it is you're in, if it's a club race, it's a pro-am race, if it's Formula One, you are the greatest and best on that day, in that class, in that state. It's a it's an incredibly addictive feeling, but it's also an incredible feeling. It's quite the accomplishment. It definitely defines your personality. It definitely defines your drive. And then people will talk about golf. You get a birdie, and then you play bogey golf the rest of the time. It doesn't matter. You got the bird. You got the one bird. And racing's the same way. You get that one win. You may go 3 years before you get the next one, but just
Hmm.
that drive, just learning how to get back into the winner's circle. You've seen Lewis Hamilton, who was in what he was kind of teary eyed in Miami just in what May or whatever because he won the sprint race. I think it was or April.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that that's a seven-time world champion, and he hadn't won in a while, and he just won a sprint race. So,
Oh,
I mean,
really?
to talk about
Oh,
a win
wow.
that I made, I won a race, a motorcycle race out at Willow Springs. It was my first one. I didn't shut up for 2 weeks. But I will tell you this, as far as how it relates to sales, is that I was in the zone. I got an amazing start. I was in the lead probably by halfway through the first lap, and I was
Hmm,
gone. Now, what was
hmm.
different, Paul, is that I had never led a race before.
Oh,
I always had a rabbit in front of me. I had first place, I was second, or I was third or fourth. I just found some old footage where I barely see myself, but I was in fourth place. You have a marker, you have your braking markers, your paces. There's that when you're out front, when you're at that level, there is nobody to base anything off of. You got to go back to your training, but you've also got to go into the zone and you've just got to let it go. If you let your mind wander, if you take your eye off the ball, if you get mentally lazy, all of a sudden your pack is catching you. And all of a sudden you're getting past. And
Hmm.
all of a sudden you're like, what happened? So leading, being a leader, being a winner in sales management, in leadership, it's a whole thing, man. It's the thing you got to learn, and you can only learn it by being there. It's something that I cherish and will always cherish is that, especially that very first win and that feeling of mastery. And
Yeah.
that's what I would say it is. It's just like mastery. And then you spend the next, X amount of days or whatever reliving it in your mind and going back over it and going, how do I do that again? How do I do that again? How do I do that again? So that's how my brain works. I don't know if that's how every racer works, but that's how mine works.
Like winning. I like that feeling too. I can relate in some level. I like to ask those questions because I think that's the attitude when we approach change. That's the attitude when we approach technology. When you were going through your prompt engineering, how long did it take you to complete? One, two, were there some key moments as you were finishing that certification to become I guess I would consider you a master based on what you've accomplished in prompt engineering. Some key moments that you were, whoa, this was this is where we're going. And from like one
True.
to 10, how would you rate your level of expertise? I rate myself against you probably a two. I'm just curious if there's some, and I know that's a loaded question, so I'm going to break it
Yeah.
down to a few key parts. So, one, what were some key moments as you were finishing your prompt engineering that you realized, man, this is the future, this is the win? Number one. Number two, how long did it take you? The time it took you to feel confident to be advanced with AI? And let's start with
Hmm.
those two questions because I think the other one makes no sense now that I said it
Yeah,
out
yeah,
loud.
and I appreciate that, and I'll just say I'm definitely a pioneer in AI and prompting. I definitely was a pioneer. I don't know if I'm a master, but maybe I am. I don't know. I got to have something to compare myself to. But the course, I mean, and the certification, I think it was 16 weeks, if I remember
Mhm,
correctly. It was probably about 4 hours a week. It was intense. Now, I took to it like a duck to water, though, Paul. I'm not going to lie to you. It was kind of like my snowboarding. I learned how to snowboard in half a day, but I was also a semi-pro skateboarder before that for years. So, going and switching over to snowboarding was really easy for me. But when
yeah.
when we talk about prompting, there's two things to be a good prompter. I think you were dealing with a master of language. So AI deals with the large language model in a neural network. Without getting too crazy, the bottom line is it's a large language model. This thing can say the same sentence that I'm saying right now in all the languages across the globe at the same time and know what it means. And so it's a very, very good. And one of the first things I learned in prompting was this thing is a master of language. It'll pick the most precise word. So for those of you who love words and dictionaries and love derivations and everything else, you're a lot like me, meaning that I love to look at the derivation of a word and see what the ancient Romans called it and then bring it all the way back to modern time, see how it changed a little bit, and then go, oh, now I get it. Right? For those of you
Right.
who've been around a while or understand that the power of the dictionary, that's what that does. Now, the reason why I took to AI prompting and collaboration and everything with AI like I did is because I do know how to use a dictionary. I do know and understand the derivations of words, et cetera, et cetera. So does this machine. In fact, what impressed me the most when I first got into AI is how precise it uses words. Like,
Mhm,
crepuscule versus sunlight versus sundown versus sunset. It will do its best, and it does pretty good of choosing the
Yeah.
exact inflection and the exact voice for that exact moment at that exact time for that exact topic. So it's very good at that. And what people think then is it's super smart. It's not. It's just really good at picking the right word. So what I learned is what AI is doing is it's predicting what it should say. It's predicting what the next word should be. And it does a thing called vectoring and a bunch of other things to pick the right word. So it seems really, really smart. Fine. But what really drove it home, and I didn't realize why I took to AI like a duck to water. Yes, the words were important. Yes, you have to have a good language, handle on language, and you're good at talk, all that stuff.
Right.
It was the cognitive, it was the, conscious competence of how things worked as opposed to unconscious competence. I have a lot of friends that go through life that are very successful, Paul, but if I took 2 or 3 things away from them, their machine or their this or their that,
Mm,
they would suffer because they are unconsciously competent. Very good
right.
professionals, but they couldn't tell you in a book how they did it. And
Yeah.
to be a prompter, you have to be able to tell AI what you want it to do. So if you don't have
Mm,
conscious competence, you don't get it. And that's why people like Paul Biker and some of the people that read this book, they're like, this book made me a better sales prompter because of the conscious competence. It's just that easy because you know what to ask it now. What should I do for a prototype or a mock up or a proof of concept for this customer that I just met about 4 hours ago? That data, that amount of data going to AI is better than, "Hey, I've got a client. What do I do?" And so when you can articulate, when you can speak, when you can do this thing, and when you go into prompt school, they're going to push you on this. They're going to actually throw you in the deep end of the pool and say, you need to get this thing to do the following outcome. And
mm.
that's what a prompt engineer does is they know how to get AI to do what they want it to do. And I think a professional or a master, as you said it, can do it in 1 or 2 prompts. And there's zero shot, there's the multi-shot, there's all these terms. It doesn't matter. The output, to keep it simple, like you say, the output of your prompts should be to do it without doing it 55 times. And I think, Paul, for you, once you did 1 of 2 things, start talking to prompt. Do you talk to prompt today?
Sometimes what I'll do is I'll use the voice feature on ChatGPT to just say some words. And the only thing I do is I'll say, I have a goal. And my goal, I'll give you an example, is to consolidate this message to make it read more concise and clear. That's pretty much the only prompt I mostly use, is to ensure my writing is easy and readable because I'm self conscious of having bad handwriting for a couple personal reasons. So that's probably the top of mind prompt. Like, what do you think I could do to take something just as small as that farther?
I like the fact that you give it an identity, and that helps because again,
Right.
it's only really has language. It's all it has. It can't see anything. So it has the language and everything is a calculation and a vectoring and a value. But the more you tell it, the better. And so what I say to people is you can do talk to text or talk to prompt. If you use the window H, that means here, I think he's going to listen to you, and then you can talk it right in. Now, AI loves data. Now, any CTO in this world will tell you it loves data. Well, what's a lot of words? A lot of data. When you
Mm,
take that fundamental reality, then when you talk to prompt, not just the voice recording, I mean, actually straight into talk to text. When you do it that way and you don't worry about ending it or if it's thinking about you and all that, once you get used to that, you'll never be short on words because have you ever heard of writer's block?
oh, yeah. I have
Yeah.
it all the time.
You ever heard of talker's block? Easier to talk, right? And here's the funny thing. Sometimes when I'm prompting, I'll say, okay, so you are an insurance expert, life insurance expert in Las Vegas, and I need you to go pick the best possible policy that's available to me in this area, whatever it is. And it'll go do its thing. Now, the second thing is you got to remember chain of command or chain of thought. Keep going. If it gives you an answer that's wrong, challenge it. If it's the right answer, keep going, iterate, keep
Hmm.
moving. And then you can start to really enjoy this part. Say, okay, so now these are these 4 These are these 4 policies I can get. Go ahead and break those down for me. You don't have to reload any identities or anything like that. You just keep rolling. It knows what you're doing. And then
Yep.
when you're there, you're going to say, you know what? Well, maybe wait, stop, go back. It doesn't care if you do any of that. It doesn't care if you stutter. It doesn't care about any of that. There's no wrong, bad prompt. There's no bad
Mm,
prompt. Now, the question is whether that prompt will yield the result you want. And all I ask you
mm.
guys to do is if it doesn't give you the answer you want, look at your own prompt. Take your own responsibility. Don't call it stupid because I don't know what's stupid, or somebody yelling at a machine because it told it the wrong thing, or the machine who does everything exactly as you tell it. The
Correct.
fun part about prompting is that when you are free to give it as much data as it can, and you'll learn to shape it. You'll learn to say, you are this, you are that. Don't give me the fluff. Give me the scientific answer. When you learn to do that, then you'll do 1, 2 prompts and you'll be done with that task. And that means
Mm,
you're efficient with AI. And that's what employers, I believe, will be looking for next year or right now. I don't know. But the bottom line is that when they interview you, they're going to go, tell me about your own account. Tell me what GPTs you've built. What have you done to enhance yourself? Remember how people used to ask you, well, what books have you read to enhance yourself? Well, don't be surprised if they start saying, well, what AI have you done to enhance yourself? And how has your relationship with AI been? This is a question I ask people that want to work for me. Get, spend the time with it. Just start playing with it and don't be afraid of it. Like you asked me to explain earlier. Just don't talk about your family will in your IP, but you can certainly ask it about which is the best way for me to set up my fantasy league team on Formula One. I mean, there's
oh,
a lot of topics you can get into that have nothing to do with your IP or your company's IP. I would even go to say it's maybe 5% of the time. The reality of it
mm,
is most of the time things you're answering are very generic. And let's say, for example, I worked at a big, large food distributor, and then I was the shipping dock clerk. And I say, I would like you to tell me what are the top 5 food and distribution companies in this area that could start servicing me at this address. Da, 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 da.
correct.
Now, you'll ask it. The current vendor you have will probably be on that list, but maybe not. But you'll either validate or find or discover something else that you didn't think of. Now, how does that mess up anybody's IP? It doesn't. It has
Mm,
nothing to do with it. It just has to do with public information, research activities, and just by giving employees the ability to do research activities, just that right there is going to increase productivity by quite a bit. I've seen a million stats, 30, 40, 50%. I think it just depends on what industry you're in. But the reality of it is if you just let your salespeople do something like that, hey guys, you can have salstrack.ai, whatever the heck you want to give them. Go do some research,
right.
use AI to do the research, take the time out of it and do a more thorough job so that when you get into your first meetings, you will impress them.
Mhm.
Why can't you let them do that, sales managers? I don't understand. Well, because they know you're going to see the customer. You don't think I know every time? Come on. Paul, it's a bit of a stretch. So I
Right.
think we have to put some guardrails around it. Look, if it's something you wouldn't talk about at parties, or if it's something you wouldn't talk about at the coffee shop, then just don't prompt it. But the rest of it, fair game as
Right.
far as I'm concerned. And I'm sure someone will challenge us in the comments, but I hope so.
So I want to talk about your favorite moment from your book here, the Apex 8, and talk to me about one of your favorite things about the book and what challenge you're seeing it solve. And we were talking about this before we hit record, Darren, that you're seeing a lot of sales leaders and upper level leaders in companies request the book because of certain challenges it solves. Can we speak to that? And is there anything you have going on if people join your newsletter or something to that effect?
My favorite parts of the book. Oh boy, I did put a lot into this thing, but I would say a couple things for big league sellers and big leaders. Prototyping, the concept of the prototype or the proof of concept in chapter 3 is powerful. There's some things to do with it once you do it. So, for example, prototyping tends to be a research and development kind of thing. But whether it's a mini POC or a proof of concept, but a mock up, if you were an independent software vendor, or if you were an MSP or a system integrator, and you were
Mhm.
asked to come in to solve a problem around a transportation system. Let's just say something like that. You go in to meet them. There's a new CTO who just got out of AI school, and it's been your account for 7 years, but he's only been there 2 years, and he does. And just first time you're meeting him. The power of prototyping today with AI in your back pocket is this: you could go in, talk to them in the first 30 minutes, find the problem, sit down with these cool AI vibe coders, whiteboard coders, all kinds of cool things for us salespeople to play with, and just say, well, let's do this together and let's prototype or let's build this right in front of our face. And when you do, you'll build so much trust. You'll show vulnerability. There'll be a few mistakes. There'll be a few positives. But the bottom line is you get to validation, which is a step in Apex. And you say, how was that? Is that on the mark? Man, that's awesome. Or, dude, I like it, but I'm wondering, could we change this and could we change that? Now, Paul, this is not a sale anymore. This is a
Right.
collaboration. And so
Mhm.
what may look like to a sales manager is that's too risky, really is a trust building moment. And it's, wait a minute. He's correcting me because he believes in me because he wants this to work and he knows I can get it done. And then we prompt again and we say, can you change this and put this logo there and move this over there and do this? And these AI tools will, dun, 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 dun. And now you're showing command of AI as a technical salesperson or as a complicated salesperson. And they're going to just go, whoa, this guy's awesome. This guy can get me to where I want to go. All your clients ever want to do is go to where they want to go. Know how, who can get them there? So prototyping's a big one. Rehearsal for your demos. I'm working with real estate agents and people like that. Well, I don't have a demo. I said, yes, you do. You do showings. You have a different word
Mhm.
for it. But aren't you painting them into the picture of owning the house? Yes, I am. So you
Mhm.
could do prototyping on the first part of that and show them these are the 10 I picked for you. Prototype those 10 or mock up those 10, put in furniture if you need to, whatever. Let them pick it down to the 3 or 4 and then take them out on the road and spend time out on the demo and rehearse the demo and know what you're going to walk into. Now you will be blowing away your clients because you care, you care. Oh, and you care and they trust you and you put in work and you put in effort and you want their business and you're a true partner. And that's where that goes. So rehearsal's a big one. And the last one that came out of motorsports is the debrief. If you've ever seen Formula One, if you've ever seen the military, anything worth doing is worth debriefing, is what I say. And a lot of
Mhm.
people don't want to debrief. And a lot of managers don't want to debrief. And a lot of
Mhm.
managers don't want to debrief because the salesperson might arrive at the fact that it wasn't them. And a
Mhm.
lot of times, certain amount of time, it's not. There's a lot of times that we've all done a great job as salespeople, and everybody that's a salesperson right now is nodding their head. And it wasn't us. It was the software was 15 clicks and the competition was 2. It wasn't, the logo wasn't this way or something wasn't that way or, it was something technical in product management and they need to know about it. What I love about debrief is, first of all, for the salesperson, know why you won, know why you lost. You don't need a sales manager to
Mhm.
tell you that. Just be honest with yourself and let's start there. And you can use AI as your sales manager and you can say, this is what I did. This is how it went. And this is what happened. And
Mhm.
AI will come back and go, well, I think this could have been different. This could have been different. And you can collaborate. No politics, no emotions, just straight fine tuning of your craft. That's the first
I
thing I
like
would
that.
teach you. That's what I talk about in this book. Now, you want to take that to a sales leader? Do it. If you want to be the best, do it. I have lots of friends in the Formula One business and the promotion business and everything else, sponsorship business, the whole deal, or motorsports marketing, we call it. But when I talk to them about debriefing, I always say, for those of you who are going to know what I say, where should I put my money? Which team should I put my money on? You would say, my friends come back and say, I don't know. And I say, well, then tell me this. Which teams debrief at the end of the day, win, lose, or draw, and which teams don't?
Mhm.
And I can tell you, based upon, again, the insider of the track that I have, my friends will go, the Red Bull team debrief, or they used to debrief all the time. Mercedes got really good at it when Lewis was there, blah, blah, blah. But then I've also heard rumors that there are some teams that don't do the debrief until they get back to the track on Thursdays. Now it's been four
Mhm.
days or 5 days or 4 days, 3 days since you lost, and now you're going to debrief? And isn't it funny how the names that come at me as who debriefs later and when it feels comfortable are the ones that are mid-pack back. So the debrief is a powerful chapter. And the reason why it's powerful is because, as my friend Shira Halleck says, you got to make a debrief safe. So you as leaders out there, you sales managers out there, you've got to have a safe zone. Do not bring politics into your debrief so you can know where the wrenches were dropped and why the pit stop took too long and all that stuff. Because then you can fix it for the next one. You want to be a great sales leader, you got to know what went wrong with the last one. And you got to do a debrief. Oh, and by the way, you've got to have the trust of your people so that they tell you all the dirty secrets that happen. Well, yeah, it turns out, and this happened to me, it turns out that one of my solution consultants went out partying, got all wrapped up, and came in drunk.
Oh, really?
We lost that deal, Paul, and it was because
Oh,
of that
my.
guy. Instead of a sales manager saying things like, why did that happen? I would still do a debrief. What happened? How did you guys let that guy do that? Because if you think about it, it's a team sport. I should
Yeah.
have done a better job. I should have cut him off. I should have stopped him. I should have forbid him if I could. And if not, then what am I going to do now to make sure it doesn't happen again? So that's the power of a debrief, is going back through what worked and what didn't work, making it a safe place to be wrong, make it safe to be wrong, so that we can all learn how to be right next time.
I like that. That was really
I
good.
hope you do. I hope you do, because it's a heady one. But man, I can't tell you how many deals I've won because of all the debriefs on the deals that I lost.
I don't want to spoil anything, but I know we were discussing Apex Advisory.
Apex Advisory is really where we go in as a fractional RevOps officer. We come in, and what we love about it is we're fractional. I and my team are not W-2s. What we do is we come in as a fractional leader, which means we join you in the C-suite. And what we do is we become your secret weapon. We think globally, and we look at engineering the sales process. We look at helping you with marketing. And what we do is we really get the convergence going. The great thing about AI is it speeds up communication. Now that AI is here, we've gotten really good. Me and my team have gotten very good at getting things in and running. For example, let's say a funnel builder. You could just take the one off the shelf, sure, but the odds are it needs to be tailored to you guys. Hyper personalization. The only problem with hyper personalization is, how do you build it? What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? What we do at Apex Advisors, we take Apex 8, we sit down with the company. We say, tell us what the number one problem is in your growth. Then we just
Mhm.
start solving for that. And we can solve it with people, we can solve it with process, or we can solve it with technology. And maybe it's all three, maybe it's half of it. But we're quite proud of it. It's an AI native consultancy fractional leadership group. I'd like to give a gift to everyone watching. And I'd like to give an electronic or an ebook version of Apex 8 book to your audience, to your listeners, because I do think that your cause is fantastic. Making great leaders is a great goal. I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. I'm willing to give them a copy of the ebook, and all I'd ask is I'd love to hear from them. They can do that a couple different ways. If they get a hold of me at apex8book.com, if you go in there and see if you want to go through the process of emailing me or let me know, that'd be great. Or go to the show notes and email me. Just mention the show. That way I know to send it to you, no cost. And we'll send it to you email and electronically, and you guys can start reading in about an hour.
I love that. Yes, I will definitely put that in the show notes. So free is a great offer.